So we are going to do Apocalyptic Shadow for version 3.5. I'd like to walk through kind of my thought process on everything, review the buffs and all that, and maybe it'll give you some helpful pointers on how you might be able to clear it yourself. And, maybe it'll just be fun watching me blow this thing up because I have E6 Kafka and there's a dot buff. But anyway, let's get into it. I am not coming into this totally blind because I've already done level 3. So obviously it's the same boss all across the board. So I've already kind of taken a look at this a little bit ahead of time. But, I'll still explain everything as we go. So let's go to part 4 here. So the bosses, this update, we've got Hule again. I see everybody complaining about, we always get Hule, and yep, we sure do get a lot of Hule. As far as the boss traits, it's pretty much the same stuff that we get with all Apocalyptic Shadow bosses, where they do not take a lot of damage until you break them, and usually breaking them involves killing the small little enemies around them. So, our first group here, that's kind of the first bullet point. When the boss enters the Lunar Devourer state, weakness protection will be removed, and the strongest ally character must be selected in going solo against the boss Mirage. During going solo, apart from the selected character and their summoned unit, all other allied targets will enter the departed state. So that's, if you've done this boss before, this is the version where he says 1v1 me bro, and you got to pick a character to fight him one-on-one. When an ally defeats an enemy wolf trooper, gain blood surge. The character entering going solo and their summon unit will also be enhanced based on blood surge stacks. So I think that's the part that you get like life recovery when you hit back or something like that. Point is, you want to have a strong character to 1v1 Hule. That's not going to die right away. And as far as the actual buff, like specific for this version, at the top we've got the Ruinous Embers. When enemy units with Steadfast Safeguard have their weakness broken, so basically when the boss is broken, dispels all control debuffs, recovers skill points, and activates ultimates for all allies. So that's normal. Normally you would get all your skill points and your ultimates when you break the main boss. The buff here, though, is all enemies take 25% more dot, and you increase skill damage by 50%. So dot and skill damage type characters are getting a nice little chunk of extra damage there. So for node 2, we've got the Fei Shao boss, and obviously the same buff. The kind of big one here is when the boss Mirage uses Soul Shattering Malediction, causes ally character enter the malediction state. Ally characters and summons in the malediction state will depart the field. At the same time, summons Bloodstained Lupine to replace departed character and continue the battle, and the Bloodstained Lupine attacks can cause heavy toughness reduction. So basically that means you get to pick a character to turn to a little wolf, and the wolf does massive damage to the toughness bar. Now, this is not the first time we've seen that boss either. However, I will point out, you can claim the dot shilling or whatever because of High Saloons and Kafka being on the banner. And yeah, in addition to the 25% dot buff, that this is really big for dot, because one of the weaknesses of dot is the dots themselves do not reduce toughness, so you're entirely dependent on your characters attacking. Now, if you have a really fast Kafka like me, it doesn't really matter that much because she'll just attack so many times that she'll keep breaking people. But even with that, this particular boss is kind of hard to break, so throwing in kind of that lifeline to the dot teams of being able to break easier is just kind of even more dot shilling than it already is, besides just the damage buffs. So let's take a look then at lineups, because I don't think there's anything else particularly important here on the other buffs. So basically, we, to break it down in summary, it's the Hule fight where you got to solo fight him through certain parts of it, and it's the Fei Xiao fight where you get to turn one of your characters into a little wolf guy that breaks their bar. Okay, so for the teams, the next thing I always do is check the available buffs for each node, because unlike Pure Fiction, each node has their own buffs for each part. So let's look at in the first node, our buffs of Fight and Unity. When an ally target consumes one skill point, increases the damage dealt by all allies by 6%, stacking up to 10 times. So that seems pretty geared toward Archer and Tribi. So every time you're using a skill point, you're buffing his damage and Tribi's damage. That I can't think of another character that's going to quite be able to take advantage of that as much. But yeah, that's good for Archer. Tangled Chaos for the second buff after defeating enemy targets increases break damage taken by all enemies by 15% to a max of 4 stacks. This effect will not take effect on will also take effect on new enemies entering the battlefield. So that's your break damage buff. It's not a huge buff. It goes up to 60%. It is nice that it's, I guess it's technically a debuff, because it's increasing the damage taken by all enemies, so it doesn't conflict with any of your normal just buffing your break damage. So it's a nice little boost if you want to run break teams. I think Firefly and Boot Hill are pretty good in this fight, and Rappa too, to a certain extent. Rappa less so, because I don't think she's as good as soloing Hule when he goes in 1v1 mode. Boot Hill's really fun for that. The only problem with them is in the first part of the fight, you have to kill, or not even kill, just break the smaller wolf guys, and they can kind of only do one at a time. And even Rappa doesn't do quite enough toughness reduction to break like 2 of them at a time, because some of her shots are getting sprayed into the main boss. So I actually don't love them in this fight. They will work okay. You should be able to clear. And it is very... I cannot emphasize how fun it is to play Boot Hill against Hule. Like, you can just... He's designed to 1v1 people, right? But it's just getting to that point is too slow. So that's why we're going to go with the third buff. And this is no turning back. After an ally target consumes their own HP, their crit damage increases by 5%, lasting for 2 turns. So who consumes their own HP? It's Castress, it's Mighty, it's Blade. It's not Jinglu, because Jinglu, I believe, only reduces HP for the rest of the team, but not herself. So it's you're mostly looking at Castress, Mighty, and Blade that are going to take advantage of this. And because I am a meta slave that has all the big DPS characters, I'm just going to use Castress with that HP buff for the first node. So we're going to pick Castress, we're going to pick Tribi. I guess we'll take RMC this time. I would play Cypher, but I don't think okay, maybe I'm not a total meta slave. I do like to play Cypher with Castress, which is a little off meta, but I don't think she's great for this fight. So I'm going to pick RMC, and I'm going to pick Hyacine. Okay. So then let's look at the buffs for the second half. The first Fatality Exploitation increases ultimate damage dealt by all allies by 30%, and it additionally increases by 30% against enemy targets in weakness broken state. So who are the big ultimate damage characters? Probably you could use Fei Xiao against herself. You know, you could use... The hurt is okay, but most of her damage is skill damage. Acheron is the other big ultimate damage, who probably isn't that bad in this fight, considering the number of enemies. Because that's kind of the problem with using Fei Xiao, is you're trying to break multiple targets. And, you know, she's only hitting one at a time. Maybe something with, like, Fei Xiao and Jade together. Although I don't think this boss is quantum weak, so scratch that. Anyway, I'm not in love with this buff, but let's move on. When allies... Or Obstinate Weed. When allies use basic attack or skill attack to attack weakness-prone enemies, all dots currently applied to the enemies will immediately deal damage equal to 15% of the original damage. Well, we'll come back to this one, but since we are dot shilling, this is the one I'm going to pick. And I'm going to use my dot team. So, interesting that it is after their weakness broken. So, I don't know how much... Well, it probably just means we're going to nuke them once we do get the weakness down. Now, finally, Heroic Vanguard. After the character in position 1 in the team uses an ultimate, their weakness break efficiency increases by 50% and increases crit damage by 50%, lasting for 1 turn. I would almost rather have this than the first buff for Fei Xiao or Acheron. It might be more geared toward... Well, I was going to say Finon, but the fact that it lasts 1 turn means you're not going to get a whole lot of use after he pops his ultimate. So you'll get your, like, 1 big bounce attack with the increased efficiency. So, I don't know. I'm not really in love with this one either. I'm going for the dot buff. And spoilers, I have E6 Kafka. I am very happy that she is around and that dot is good again. And I think we'll be good on the second half. So I'm going to run her obviously with Hycelins. I'm running Black Swan because I have E1 Black Swan. If I didn't have E1 Black Swan, and even then, I might consider... It might be a good idea to run Ruan Mei for just getting that increased break efficiency anyway. Ruan Mei is, like, so good in Apocalyptic Shadow. But because dots themselves don't... since dots themselves don't reduce toughness, and you're kind of relying on your little wolf guy at the end anyway, I don't think it's necessary. I think it's better to just pick Robin. And I think Robin's extra turns are going to be better than the Ruan Mei break efficiency. So, and I'm going to run Sustainless because I think I'm going to be able to blow up the boss pretty good. But we'll see if I will eat those words or not. Okay, so we got Castris, we got Kafka. Let's see what happens.
That one is hard to persuade. That's absurd.
Deja vu.
Get everybody's buffs up.
Emerge from your cocoon.
Get my free dragon. Okay, so in this fight, normally what you would do is you would want to try to break the little wolves on the sides first, which will help you in reducing Hulei's toughness bar, because obviously right now his weaknesses are blocked. There's no way to reduce his toughness bar otherwise, and he also gets a big damage reduction before he gets weakness broken, so there's not really a lot of point in attacking him directly. That said, Castris just nukes everything, so it doesn't matter.
Darkness with me.
So we're just gonna blow everything up.
May death protect us.
I'm on it.
We can do it.
I don't think, not having RMC and Trivy's buffs entirely up is not really gonna make much of a difference right now.
Star the skies.
But we will. It looks like we will get them up before Casters has her next dragon, so it's fine. Okay, so Casters, take your swing.
Embrace a new life. Please cherish. Return
Take another swing. Okay, and that's probably going to be enough to kill... Well, they're going to make me do the whole thing anyway. Now, if you're new to Casterus, you do have the option to hold your dragon and save it. Most of the time, you don't want to do that because you get that big damage boost at the end, and if you can get your dragon back fast enough, it's better to just get the dragon back so that every time you use the dragon, you get the full damage with the boost at the end. Like, and otherwise, you're only getting like, you know, yeah, you're getting more dragon breath attacks, but you know, if you go all 3 times without using the last kind of final burst, you're missing out on like extra bursts, basically. So if you have Hyacine and you know your team properly built to get your dragon back fast, then that's usually the strategy.
as you wish.
Okay, so we're just gonna keep pounding on Hule.
Darkness with me.
Casterus with her 32,000 HP right now does not care about your attacks,
Make death
and in fact she's doing so much damage that I'm almost breaking through his
root here.
I almost killed him without breaking him. Okay, so let's see if we can kill him without using my dragon, which Casterus might be able to do. I might be overestimating her damage, but with all the buffs up and everything, a little extra damage from
Life is not
Hyacine from Little Ika. Okay, I don't think she's gonna be able to do it.
a new life. You can do it. Please cherish this.
Okay.
Return to dust.
Oh, maybe she can. Alright, cool. So that means I can just use my dragon on killing these guys again. And getting a little chunk of damage off Hule. Okay.
I shall remember this one. That hurts a bit.
Okay, so we're gonna
Here.
attack,
Embrace
Ult.
a new life.
get another attack,
With me.
and then it's dragon time. I wanted to get this over 1800 AV.
Protect us.
I don't know if we're gonna make it. No, we're not.
As you wish.
Okay. Can I get one more dragon in before he gets out of his mode?
Return to dust.
And will it be enough to break him? Probably not.
May death protect us.
Okay. Keep hitting me, Hule. It only makes me stronger.
Root here.
Alright, I'm a little disappointed I couldn't break him in that particular solo session there.
Embrace a new life.
So that is gonna drop me down below 1700, but now I'll be able to just blow him up.
Light. Dispel the gloom. Restore the skies. Please cherish darkness with me.
Alright, one breath should be enough on that. Yep. Okay, 1682. Pretty good. I feel like I could do better, but it's very good. Alright, on to Fei Xiao. So again, reminder, I have E6 Kafka, so what you see on the screen may not be normally obtainable.
Does that hurt?
But, you know, maybe I'm overestimating. We'll see. I also don't have, like, the best builds on everybody, which we can take a look at the end, I guess. Okay.
Stand still.
Not really a lot of strategy to this. You just want to get Hycelins applying all the dots. And, well, Hycelins and Black Swan applying all the dots. And that's kind of it. You know, I would find it very funny to have Robin turn into the little wolf guy, but I also want her to ult. So I'm gonna switch to Black Swan. Okay.
Stand still. Don't let me.
Oh, I'm out of skill points.
Any of this is rebels. Your pride rocks. Good times. Time to say bye. You are not worthy.
6 million damage is pretty good, huh? Alright, we just straight up killed her without having to even... without having to even do anything.
Your pride rocks. Stand still. Time to say bye. Boom.
I'm a little worried. I hope I can transform Robin. Yep. Let's transform Robin. Keep her... Oh, is that not how that works? Oops. I thought that would protect her. My bad, I did not understand the fight there. Okay, well, hopefully we can kill her before Robin takes another hit, because I have no way to heal. Alright. The one thing you do want to do on this team is make sure that Kafka can always take her turn. Or can always use her skill point. Because Kafka constantly using her skill, her follow-up attack, and her ultimate is kind of the key to making that team work. Anyway, 38-12 is great. That's a great score. I did need the caster's passive, so that was a little sloppy. So I could do it again with like Huoho or somebody that's like an actual sustain, and probably do close to the same. Well, I did get like at least one set of extra turns in there with Robin, but anyway, that's that. So if just real quick, if we want to look at teams and builds, so Castress, I have her light cone. I've got pretty normal build as far as the relics and everything. The big thing is I do have her E2, so that makes a big difference. The E2 gets you the extra damage ticks from her dragon, among other things. Tribby, I have her E1 S0 with Dance Dance Dance. Another pretty standard set, pretty much the same as Cass actually, but I have her E1. RMC, I've got the Herda Shop cone with two-piece Sacrados and Messenger or Hackerspace for speed, and Von Whack, obviously E6. Hyacine, I have her light cone, but she is E0, and nothing's really special on her build either. I've got the Goddess set and the Giant Tree planers. So Kafka, now you may have heard her light cone is not her best in slot. Just as a PSA, if you are running her as a support for Hyselins and Black Swan, which you probably are, a lot of people are saying before the tutorial mission starts is now her best in slot. I would tend to agree in that scenario. And they also say you should run the what is the wind set? I always forget the name of it. The Eagle set, Eagle of Twilight. Basically play her as a full support. I have her set up as more of a DPS setup because I have her E6. So once you get to E4, the amount of energy you regen from Kafka applying her own shock is just too good to pass up. So her light cone, for example, is an extra source of applying shock. That's why you might have seen I got my ult really quick with her. These are whale problems. Until you hit E4, you don't really need to worry about that. So, follow the guides that you see that say to play Eagle and the tutorial light cone. That's probably going to work better for you if you just have, E0 or E1 or E2 Kafka. So, something to keep in mind. Hyselins, I have E1 S1. Pretty standard build. There's the E1. Pretty standard build for her. I want to E6 her someday. I'm slowly going to just try to ramp up to that. I might get her E2 this one and just wait for reruns. And then finally, we got Black Swan and Robin. So Black Swan, I have her E1, but I do not have her light cone. So I am running the Sampo cone, mostly for the effect hit rate. Relic set, I need to update. I still have the Talia set. Or, so not Talia, I get that confused. It's the EHR set. I want to update her to the new Wormling Shores eventually, but I have not gotten around to that yet. And Robin, I also have E1 S1. And I've got the good old Musketeer all in on the attack and Von Whack on her so that she can get her ult up quickly. Not always the best build. There's a lot of ways you can build Robin, but that's how I have her. And so that is it. That's Apocalyptic Shadow. Let me know in the comments how you did with your run, or if you have any questions or need help. I might be able to help you out. And, if you like this, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll catch you next time. Bye.